Hello, everyone. So, I want to get a feel for the room. I want to see a show of hands. Who in here likes what they do for a living? Who likes their job? Show of hands. Very nice, very nice. Is there anyone in here who loves what they do? Oh. 1, 2, 3. Your hand went up first. What's your name? Rachel. What do you do for a living? Investment banking. And what do you love about investment banking? Yeah. Yeah. Making that dollar lot. Yeah. Very nice, very nice. I seen lady in the blonde, your hand went up. Yeah, what's your name? Hannah, what do you do for a living? Okay, very good. Bit of purpose in there, a bit of meaning. And what do you love best about your work? Yeah, I imagine so. Very nice. So, let's spice things up. Hands up. Who in here hates what they do for a living? Or dislikes? Just dislikes. Only 3 people. 3 people. 3 honest people. Your hand went up. Was it you? Yeah. What's your name? Sophie. What do you do for a living? McDonald's. Okay. We're just getting started. And what do you hate about working at McDonald's? Yeah. All right. Well, make a list. Give me the number one thing that you hate most. Yeah, I was surprised how low McDonald's pay, given the billions that they have floating around. Someone in the back there put up their hand. You, sir. What's your name? Owen. What do you do for a living? Security officer. And what do you hate about being a security officer? Just existing as a security officer. I get it. Yeah. Imagine so, yeah. Do you do nights? I do. Days. I had a friend who worked in a hospital nights. I won't get into that now, but let's just say he got wasted every time he went to work. But, right, look, we've got a good feel for the room, right? Some of us in here enjoy what we do for a living. Some of us don't enjoy it. But the goal of the session today is to help you find work that allows you to do more of what you like and less of what you don't like. And when it comes down to finding work you enjoy, a dream job, there's many schools of thought on this. One of them is just going all in on garlic bread or, talking about emojis all day. But when we look at the research, there's a group in the UK called 80,000 Hours. And they analysed 60 studies on what makes up for fulfilling work. And they broke it down into 5 different factors. Work you're good at, getting paid fairly, supportive colleagues, work that fits your personal life, and engaging work. So let's get into each one of them. The first one, work you're good at. Why do we enjoy work that we're good at? Well, the better you are at something, the more control you have over what you do and how you do it. And the beautiful thing is that we can get good at pretty much anything we want, but we've only got so much time in the day. So one way to think about it is figure out what you're already good at and focus on becoming exceptional in that area, really good at that. And because we've only got so many hours in the day, play to your strengths and figure out what it is you're already good at and then double down on that. And if you're not sure about what you're good at, a few questions you can ask yourself. What parts of your job come easy? Because what comes easy to you doesn't come easy to everyone else, but you just take it for granted because you do it every day. So you might overlook the parts of your job that come easy. When were you most productive in your career? What do people come and approach you for help with? So what are you the go-to guy or the go-to girl for? What do you like best about your work? Because usually when you're good at something, you enjoy it. So these are good questions to ask yourself to figure out what you're already good at, so you can then figure out ways to, master your craft in a way. The second factor for finding a fulfilling job, fair pay. And not getting paid fairly is, one of the banes of our existence, and it causes a lot of our suffering with our work. So you need to make sure that you're getting paid fairly. And how do you make sure that? Well, a couple of ways. You want to talk to recruiters who hire specifically in your industry. And I recommend doing this a couple of times a year, because you'll quickly find out what the market is paying for someone in your position. And you want to try and talk to as many recruiters as possible to get as much data as you can. You can also review job listings. Obviously, not every job is going to have the salary, but it's worth trying. Reviewing salary calculators. So the likes of Glassdoor, Payscale.com, Salary.com, they report on salary, but all of that data is from people like you sending in their salary information. So it's not entirely accurate. So if you want to figure out what companies are actually paying, it can be better to just Google, Irish salary guide followed by your industry, Irish salary guide construction, and you'll find a more accurate information. Then you can talk to co-workers and peers. A lot of people in Ireland, they're very sensitive about talking about salary. And the thing is, if you can talk to your co-workers about your pay, it can actually work out quite well. And I'll give you a few examples here. So the lady here on the left talked to a colleague who was leaving her job and found out she was being massively underpaid. And yeah, she's in the middle of her negotiating her salary at the moment. And it can be easier to talk to a colleague who's leaving the company. They might be more open to discussing their salary with you. Another lady here on the right, her company is notorious for underpaying their staff, and she went ahead and got herself and her colleagues a $7,000 rise. And when it comes to talking about salary with your coworkers, you don't have to just say how much are you on or what are you earning. You can keep it light and just say, I'm thinking about asking for a raise of, X and Y. What do you think about that? What does that sound like? And just, read the room and see what happens. It might get the conversation going. And there's nothing illegal about discussing your salary with your coworkers. Now, it might make the management a little sweaty, but it's perfectly, unless there's a stipulation within your contract, talk about it. If you don't want to talk about it with your coworkers, talk about it with people you know who work in your industry. So again, keep it light and say, I'm applying for jobs, I'm thinking about asking for X and Y. What do you think about that? Does that sound fair? And if you do decide to ask your manager for a raise, what I recommend you do is a light stretching session the morning before work, and then go into the office and head kick your manager straight to the jaw. This works really well. I've used it with my clients. 100% success rate. Especially you and McDonald's there. I'm not trying to incite violence here, right? It's all a joke. But if you do need help asking for more money, paddyjobsman.com, I have free salary negotiation playbooks, show you how to get your money. Next up, supportive colleagues. We all know what it's like to have a shitty boss, and they will make your life hell. They have so much influence over your life. They decide what opportunities you get. They decide, how happy you are on a daily basis. So if you are looking for a job, if you are seeking greener pastures, you need to be able to suss out managers. You need to be able to spot the good from the bad. And how you do that in a few ways. First of all, you can just Google them, see if they post anything online, see if they've been on podcasts, see if they're on YouTube, see if they've been in any high-profile legal cases like this one here, where they found out that the interviewer was suing her high school football coach, his kid's high school football coach, because he wasn't getting enough game time. So complete nut job. You can also review how the company responds to negative reviews. So Gurdev here said he paid $7.60 for a kebab, hardly any meat, Nan was burnt, and the owner replied, "I'm sorry to hear about your Nan, hope she gets well soon." So I want to work for this guy. He doesn't take life too serious. He has fun. He's a fun guy. So how they respond to reviews can tell you a lot about, the type of cultures at that company. Now, when it comes to finding out what it's like to work at a company, the only way you're going to find out for real is by talking to either people who are in that company right now or people who have left the company within the last 6 months. Because if you're going on to the likes of Glassdoor, I know someone in this room who worked for a company and the company paid their staff to leave positive reviews on Glassdoor. So it can be hit and miss over there, as well as that company awards, Great Place to Work awards. I've coached people who worked at those companies and they worked for a tyrant. So it's not a good indicator of what it's actually like to work at a company. Your best bet is to try and track down people who are either in the company or have left the company. Like I said, it's hard to get information out of people who work at the company. So on LinkedIn, you can actually filter by past company and find people who've left the organization in the last 6 months, and you can just drop them a message. Now, when it comes to using message templates, just know that they're being used by hundreds, sometimes thousands of people. So always put your own spin on them. Always reword them. They're just a guide. But essentially, if you are talking to ex-colleagues, you just want to say, look, I'm applying for a similar role that you were in. I just want to get some insights about the environment. Would you be willing to share them? Keep it light. Most people won't reply, but if one person does and you find out that one of the department managers is, a nut job, at least, it's a bullet dodged. Other ways is to ask interview questions that force a genuine answer. So questions like, what makes you most proud of your team? What do your best employees say about working here? What do you like about working here? What does the path to growth look like in this role? And do you have any examples of people who have been promoted from within? And when you're listening to their answers here, how do you know they're not talking a load of brown? Well, they'll contradict themselves. They'll give you vague answers. They'll give you generic answers. They won't answer the question. They'll try and avoid the question. But really, they won't be able to give you specific examples. And if you're unsure about their answers, ask follow-up questions, because the more you follow up with them, the harder it is for them to keep their story straight. So trust your instincts here. Watch how they deliver their response. Are they passionate? Are they full of enthusiasm? Or do they sound dead inside? Just analyze them. Other red flags to look out for would be, management that push blame. They're disrespectful. They're not prepared. They don't have a clue what your day-to-day will look like. They don't really ask many questions. If it all feels too easy, there's a problem. If you're on a first date and someone gets down on their knee and proposes to you, there's something wrong there. There's just something wrong. If they need you to start right away, the place could be on fire. People could be leaving in droves. Now, these are just indicators. It's not an exact science. It's just something to be aware of when you are going into interviews. Some green flags, put a positive spin on this talk here. Open, transparent, take ownership. Managers who take responsibility for everything, failures, wins, the whole shebang. They speak highly of their team. They don't try and avoid talking about salary. We all work for money. Let's not forget that. Clear onboarding plan. The hiring process is clearly laid out. They give you a straightforward path for what opportunities will come available in the role. It should feel like a conversation. It shouldn't feel like an interrogation, and they shouldn't be putting pressure on you to start immediately. But no matter what, after every interview, try and reflect on the conversation, because when you need a job, when you're desperate for a job, I know some of us will have to take any job we can get because we need a paycheck and that gets priority. But if you are in a position, say no to opportunities that you don't feel right about. If you're ill-treated at any point during the interview process, just remember that process is the honeymoon period. It's all downhill from there. So if you're getting ill-treated during the interview process, it's an enormous red flag. But what I'll say is, try and be objective. If you do need a job, you want to make sure that the place you're going to is better than the place you're coming from. Number 4, the fourth factor of what makes a fulfilling job: work that fits your personal life. And a good question, a good exercise, is to ask yourself, what would your perfect work day look like? Map it out. Would it be a 4-day work week? Would it be working from home? Would it be starting at 10 o'clock instead of 9 o'clock? Whatever it is. And the reason you want to get this down on paper is because if you don't aim at it, if you don't ask for it, you've absolutely no chance of getting it or even getting close to it. So try and map it out. And from there, I'm not saying you'll be able to get it on day one, but you can work with your employer, you can work with your manager to start getting close to what your perfect day would look like. And for me, I wasn't able to get this at an employer, so I had to set up my own employment. But Eddie here summarized what my perfect day would look like. 4 hours of work, talk to no one, and just spend the rest of the day just floating around. I don't think you can do more than 4 hours of focused work per day. I can't anyway. But like I said, if you think that what you want from an employer is not possible, I'm going to discuss strategies for that in a moment. But I want to highlight a cool story of a lady who negotiated a 3-day work week. Now, this is rare, but it can happen. And, you know, she's having a 4-day weekend every weekend, getting to see her kids. And how she went about it, well, she negotiated entirely by email. So she provided evidence of relevant past success. She included metrics. She name-dropped big-name brands. She came in with a plan of what she's going to do in the job from the get-go. She referenced that she's hot stuff, that she had multiple offers on the table, but that this company was her number one choice. And how she finished was, she said, look, I'll sign right now if we can restructure the contract and make it a 3-day work week. And this comes back to being good at your job, because you get more leverage, you get more negotiation power if you are good at your job. This woman here was clearly good at her job, but definitely worth considering what your perfect day would look like in the future. Last up, engaging work. And I want to put a question out to you. So, a lot of you in here have got good at something you dislike. So good, in fact, that you get paid for it. But imagine how good you could get at something that you actually like or you actually care about. And to find work that you're engaged with, you need to list out what parts of your job you like and what parts of your job you dislike. And then with that list, you'll be able to figure out jobs that align more with what you like, so you can avoid doing the stuff that you don't like or maybe you hate. And it can be as simple as just doing a pros and cons list. This is mine. So I enjoy being alone and making memes. And I hate leaving my sitting room. I hate being on LinkedIn. I hate making presentation slides. I'm never doing one of these again. And I hate meetings. So no one's going to pay me to be alone and make memes. So I have to figure out a way to do it myself. But it's definitely a worthwhile exercise to map this out for yourself. Another option is the Holland career test. So personality tests, they can be hit and miss. But this test is free, and anytime I post about it on social media, the response I get is always positive. Most people are surprised at how accurate this test is. And it takes 5 to 10 minutes. You have to use very little brain power, and it's just questions like this, multiple choice. And the great thing is, when you finish it, it will give you a list of careers that match up with what you're interested in. And it will give you a breakdown of the tasks. It will give you a breakdown of future trends and related jobs as well. So jobs you wouldn't have even thought of. Now, the website that it will redirect you to is an American website, so you will have to go off and do your own research on the Irish market, but it's a really, really good test to figure out what you enjoy doing. Another option is to type into job boards the parts of your job you like. So I like making TikToks, threw this into LinkedIn, and lo and behold, the first job is all about making TikTok videos. So you don't have to stick to just job titles on job boards. If you like training people, if you like presenting, whatever it is, throw it into that search bar and see what pops up. And then when you find out a role that you're potentially interested in, you can research people who are in that job on LinkedIn, talk to them, pick their brains a little bit. Other questions to ask yourself would be, what could you give a 45-minute presentation on without any prep? Is there any topic that you could talk on for 45 minutes without any preparation? Think about that. What did you enjoy doing as a child? I got asked this question by a massage therapist, and it ended with a happy ending. Not get your mind out of the gutter, right? Let me explain. So, as she was, drilling into my back, she was like, why is your back so banjaxed? I was like, I'm sitting in an office chair all day. I don't like what I'm doing. She was like, what do you like doing as a child? And I was like, well, in school they let us do these sketch shows where we would direct these shows in front of the school, and they'd just be a massive laugh. There was so much crack. And I thought, right, there's something there. I enjoyed the entertainment aspect of that. So during COVID lockdown, me and my brother, I just said I'm ordering a green screen, and we done a handful of sketches. So here's me as a Garda commissioner, and my brother in the back there as a news anchor. And yeah, we had a blast doing it. And this is me as a milkman as well. Like, we lost the run of ourselves. But the point is that by doing this, it gave me confidence to start recording myself, combining what I enjoy doing with what I'm good at, which was, recruitment at the time and operating in the career space. So finding out what you enjoyed as a child, it worked for me, it might work for you. What topic do you go down the YouTube or Wikipedia rabbit hole? That's where your curiosity lies. There's clues in there. God only knows what this kid's after seeing, but it doesn't matter. Who do you like spending time with? Because imagine you could solve the problems for people you like being around. You're going to have a fun time. And a lot of people, me included, I got a job playing a character because I needed money. And yes, like I said, the paycheck gets the priority. But if you are in a position at some stage in the future, try and bring who you are to the interview. And you won't have to spend every weekend saying goodbye to your true self. Other options would be to just try out the career buffet. So if you have an inkling about something you might like, anything you want to learn can be sought after online for free. And when it comes to learning something new, it can be difficult to get started because you're thinking, I need the perfect day where I'm well rested, where I have a 3-hour block, where no one's going to bother me. And that day is never coming. It never is. So try and break the goal down into steps that you could possibly take every day. One way to go about this is just do 20 minutes a day, 121 hours over a year. Think about how far you would be if you put 121 hours into anything, how far you will have come. So I did this when I was setting up my own business. I just set the alarm for an hour before I started work. Willpower is going to play a massive role in you taking action. And it's very difficult after work where you're coming home, you're making dinner, maybe you're up with your kids or whatever it is. For you to start learning something new, the willpower, the battery's low. So for me, it worked well to just make a jug of coffee before work and then put in a shift. You can also upskill at the expense of your employer. It will save you money. It will make you more competitive in the market. It will increase your market value. And you can pitch it to them and just say, look, me learning these skills or developing these skills will help the company either make money, save money, or a combination of both, and see where it goes. Now, like I said, it could be the case that you need to go out on your own because what you want from your work life just isn't possible from an employer. And one question you can ask yourself is, what have you done for so long that people would pay you to coach them on? And an example is from my friend Ian Monks. He is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. He's been doing it 8 years. And last year, he just started training people in his cabin out his back garden. And now he's branching out. Now he's in a community center. Now he's looking for his own place. And he's getting paid to do his hobby. So Alan Watts says here, figure out some way in which you get paid for playing. Because if you do something you like and you stick at it, eventually you'll become a master of it. It's the only way to master anything. And as a master, you'll get a good fee for whatever it is. And it can literally be anything. I don't know if you've seen this lad on TikTok, but Francis Bourgeois, he screams about trains all day. He's an encyclopedia on old school trains, and he's blown up. He's getting sponsorship deals. He's meeting Thierry Henry here, all because he's followed his natural curiosity. And like I said, you do need willpower when you are starting something for yourself. So think about getting a job where you have minimal responsibility, or it's a low pressure job. So think working in a library, think working in a museum. Potentially low, no job is going to be low stress, but try and find a role that, doesn't take up all your mental energy, so you can focus then on building something for yourself. And when it comes to setting something up for yourself, earning a living, it doesn't have to be complicated. You don't have to make millions. One example would be if I did 3 career coaching calls a week at 150 quid, that's $2,000 a month. If I doubled that, $4,000 a month. If I had an information product and I sold 42 of them at 99 quid a month, it's 50k a year. Not saying this is easy, definitely not easy, but it beats the hell out of going into a job that's making you miserable. And whatever you decide to do, it's going to be very helpful to aim at something. Define it, whatever it is, because if you're not aiming at something, you won't even see the opportunities as they arise. As the opportunity comes, you don't even see it. But if you have that goal fixated, it will build towards the goal you're after. And if you think it's too late, it's definitely not too late, because Vlad the Impaler didn't even start impaling people until his mid-30s. And if you just Google people who started late, you're going to find an endless list of stories of people who started in their 30s, 40s, 50s. Samuel L. Jackson, Ricky Gervais, Morgan Freeman. Like, they all started, I was looking this up for comedians, and the list never ends. So it's never too late to start. And there's very little difference. Apart from physical attributes, we're all pretty much very similar. So there's people out there who are no smarter than you, who already have what you want. So whatever you decide to do, go out there and do it. And you can do it. You definitely can do it, because there's people out there that already have it. So if you are deciding to make a change with your career, I have free workshops on YouTube. I have a resume writing workshop, and I have a job search workshop as well. Check them out. Paddy Jobsman, social media, paddyjobsman.com for career resources. Thanks for your time, and have a smashing day. Take care.